I started noticing it 2 to 3 weeks into it, complaints about things that happened in her life with other people and things like that. I didn't realize that I would eventually just dig myself very much in a very deep hole.
Hey guys, it's Andrea Gunning.
And I'm Ben Fetterman.
Back with more Dating Diaries, questions and confessions. Wouldn't it be cool if I could give potential dates a survey?
A survey? Like, what's their favorite meal?
More to assess how they would match up with me. A questionnaire. So it's like, it's Friday night movie night. Are we watching Godfather 2 or Godfather 3? That would give me some valuable information.
I mean, Dre, that's a pretty small pool. Are you, looking for a group of guys in New Jersey? And, if they pick Godfather 3, they're out. So...
That's what I'm saying! If they're picking 3, they're done! It's pretty commonly known that Godfather 3 is trash, and if someone were to pick that, they're not for me.
Guys, when you see Dre's survey on her Linktree, choose wisely.
My point is, our first single this week decided to get creative in her dating process. And I'm taking notes.
My name is Jennifer, and I am a college student at the University of Florida. So I'm going into my junior year, and I'm a communications major. So I've always been really big into YouTube. And over quarantine, I really got into TikTok.
Say what you will about TikTok, but me, I'm obsessed.
I saw this one girl who had this trend that was sending a Google form to my exes to ask them about how I was in my relationship. And I thought that was hilarious.
A post-relationship exit interview form? That girl has some balls. And it got Jen thinking about what she wanted from social media.
I was like, it would be so fun to have a summer fling, a little Grease style Sandy and Danny summer fling. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make that my bio on Tinder, because I always like the idea of telling someone what they're swiping for, we all wanna know what we're getting into. So I was like, before my bio was swipe right to reserve your spot in line. And the guys thought that was really funny. They were always like, oh, how do I get a fast pass? Can I skip the line? And I'm like, fast passes are reserved for people that take me to Cheesecake Factory. And they were like, all right, you got it. So then I made a Google form and it blew up. And I was like, oh my God. So then I was having this Google form that I was sending to people.
People started actively seeking out the form to apply to be her summer fling. So what did the application say?
Hi, I'm Jen, and I'm trying to have the best summer of my life, and I'm looking for the Danny to my Sandy. If you didn't get that reference, just honestly don't even fill this out.
The form had a few multiple choice questions and a few open-ended ones too.
People started filling it out from all across the country, but after it went viral on TikTok, everyone's like, you forgot to ask if they have a lake house. What about the boat? And I was like, oh my God, you guys are so right. So the answers are yes, no, but I'll buy one for you, and then just straight up no. And then the next one was, would you consider yourself a player? Are you good at taking pictures? What is summer if not documented, So answers are, I'm basically a professional photographer. No, but you can teach me. Or not at all, did you even see my profile? I don't know what flip phone they took them on. But the next question is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how spontaneous are you? I feel like an acceptable answer is 7 and above. Anything below 7, it's a little boring.
Some of Jen's many suitors got really creative.
One boy didn't even fill out the form. He made a PowerPoint of the questions, slid into my DMs on Instagram, and sent me he was like, I want to email you a link to my PowerPoint.
I'm impressed.
People will fill them out like political figures. Or just celebrities. They'll be name, and they're Joe, and then they're location Washington DC, and they're stroll through the Rose Garden in the White House. It's so funny.
So how many people has she heard from?
As of right now, it's 683.
Holy shit. That's nuts.
They're not all men. A lot of them are girls from TikTok. They'll fill the whole thing out like a guy, and at the end be like, oh, by the way, I'm actually just a girl. I thought this would be fun to fill out. Love your videos.
Okay, because that would be a lot of men to sift through. How did Jen handle that?
You will be hearing back about the status of your applications shortly.
So with all of the interest, has Jen filled the position?
The boy that I've been like going on dates with now, I asked like, how spontaneous are you? And he put 10. And then for what's our first date, he left it blank. I was like, dude, why did you leave it blank? He's like, because I wouldn't be spontaneous of me to tell you what we're gonna do. And I was like, okay, well played. I met him through Tinder. Funny thing is like, I had matched with him before. I didn't remember that I matched with him, but like we were texting on Tinder. He's like, oh, like how do I book my interview? I'm like, oh, you're gonna have to contact the manager. And then I put my phone number. That was my number, right? He texts me like, hey, and then I see text above it. And I'm like, what the heck? I've already talked to this kid before.
Jen actually ghosted him the first time, but he was back for another time at bat. And this time, he's making a way better impression.
Like now we've hung out like for 5 days in a row. Like we've been hanging out all the time. So we've been nicknaming him Mr. Ambiguous.
She really couldn't explain the nickname. So I have to ask, should we just call him Danny?
The summer fling, but it's like, it's probably gonna be him, yeah.
I love Jen.
Dude, she's starting a movement that I think people need to pick up on.
I love it because she's coming from a place of, I know who I am, I know what I'm worth. You guys need to fucking line up for me.
I love the line, swipe right to reserve your place in line.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
She's just a shit. I mean, she's got such a great personality. She puts herself out there. She doesn't take it too seriously. She creates opportunity for herself. And I think my favorite question on that questionnaire was, like, how spontaneous are you?
Can we just like clap it up for the guy who put 10 for spontaneity and then left the first date blank and then said, I want to surprise, like, clap it up. That is game sees game right there. Like, how is he not first in line?
Right? But I think spontaneity is such an interesting thing to put on your questionnaire. There are so many obligations that you have in your life, to work, to family, and planning out your week, your day, your month, your year. Flexibility and that fluidness is so important when you're dating. It keeps things exciting.
How about this answer that did not make it into your interview with her? Situation. Jen calls you and tells you that she found a $50 round trip to Puerto Rico this weekend. Are you down to clown? Answer A, OFC, I love an adventure. 2, it depends on if I have plans or not. And answer 3, absolutely not.
I'm surprised the vaccine wasn't included in that equation.
Oh, like, I'm not vaccinated, I can't travel?
Yeah.
Name the 3 things you can take on your ultimate summer vacation. What are they? Open answer.
What would you take?
I think they should be any 3 things. Nothing assumed here. So I think swimsuit, bike. Ooh, what's the third one? Football.
Mine's swimsuit, sunscreen, and Mulaney.
Oh, the dog. How am I not bringing my dog?
Yeah, I'm not leaving Mulaney.
Oh, dogs on the beach are the best. I'm assuming my wife is coming with me, and that didn't have to be one of the 3.
You have a lot of assumptions to this question.
It's open-ended.
Jen's great, but it's no game of pigskin.
It's no football.
So she's gotten all these applicants, but she's been gravitating towards a person from her past, a guy that she left on red.
Red.
She left him on red and then just forgot about the guy. That's brutal.
Have you had that happen to you before? Like, you go back to a number like you didn't save and like, oh, there's this whole conversation that happened.
No, I'm pretty good with faces and names. I would never like forget someone that I had a date with. But then again, I'm not in college and they're in a huge college, you know?
Yeah, it's true. So that's a different time. I can't say that there weren't moments where like you got someone's number at a frat party and it's like, oh, we met at like, you know, orientation and talked for a while.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I'm sure there's somebody that I hooked up with in college and then just like, 2 years later, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that. But yeah, but this guy's around.
He's here. Like, she thinks he's gonna be Danny this summer.
I mean, I think he is.
I think it's happening.
My name's Michelle. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I'm 34 years old, and I've experienced quite an interesting story. It started up as a relationship online. We met through a dating app, and it was great at the beginning.
That's why they call it the honeymoon period. It should always be great at the start.
When you're meeting someone new, you're excited and you kind of ignore some of the red flags. Anytime that I had asked, oh, can we hang out at your place, or where would you like me to pick you up, or anything like that, she said, oh no, I'll meet you wherever we're going. And so, one time I said, oh, did you want to watch a movie at your place or anything like that? No, I have a roommate working in a hospital.
Well, that makes sense. But even with COVID cases declining, her new love interest wanted to be mindful of her roommate, who works in healthcare.
She was very concerned that she might contract it and pass it along to her patients who are vulnerable. And so that makes sense to me. I was like, oh no, of course not. I don't want to make your roommate feel uncomfortable at all.
And Michelle, she was truly smitten. They had a genuine connection.
We were talking about types of books she likes to read and politics as well, but not in the aggressive way. It was wonderful. It really was just an intellectual conversation that was incredibly stimulating.
It was a really exciting time for Michelle.
I came out not too long ago, and so all of this is a very new world to me. Some of the feelings that I felt, I had never felt before, so that was great to be able to experience that. The next day, she asked me if I would be willing to hang out with her again and have dinner. So we got together the following day, and it felt a little bit fast to me.
But why not? So Michelle followed her heart.
After that, we would see each other regularly, if not every day, every other day. It just snowballed very quickly. And being so eager to go out and experience different relationships and just explore love, I was definitely on board.
Like so many of us, they had to work around COVID.
I have a person living with me who has an autoimmune disorder, so I didn't want to expose that person. We did the drive-in movie theater a few times, a lot of walks in parks, grabbing coffee, dinner.
But eventually, the honeymoon phase wore off.
I just didn't quite understand what it meant for someone to be jealous, for example, or someone who carries a lot of emotional baggage. And so in developing our relationship and going deeper and deeper and getting to know each other, certain things started to surface. For example, anytime that things were going well or we were having a good moment, there was just something that upset her.
This was all very unfamiliar territory to Michelle. Did she say the wrong thing? Do the wrong thing? She wasn't sure.
I was trying to determine, is that a girl thing? Is that common? Or is this person? Because I'm not like that. I don't play games. Like, I wanted to be there for this person, but ultimately it took a toll, because the more that I gave, just the heavier it was every single time.
Michelle detected some other changes.
I started noticing it maybe like 2 to 3 weeks into it. Complaints about things that happened in her life with other people and things like that. I think that you want to definitely be a compliment to the person that you're with. I didn't realize that I would eventually just dig myself very much in a very deep hole. I tried, to weather it, and she knew, she felt it. And she's the one that said, I don't think we're compatible.
So there was some relief. At least it was mutual. It could end pleasantly.
So we agreed to part ways, but remain friends. I tried to provide as much support as I could. She was having career changes going on, and I supported as best as I could there and put her in contact with different people that could help her out. The housing situation was a bit tough on her end. She was previously living with someone. Things happened and she didn't have another place to land. She thankfully was able to, have her car.
Wait, what? She was essentially living as a nomad, like the movie that won the Oscar, out of her car. What was even real here?
I get it, like why she wouldn't have brought that up during our dates, but I think by the third week, and definitely by the fourth week, we had made it more official. I think that's information I would have liked to have. It feels like I was lied to because there was the whole elaborate story about the roommate.
Right. Remember that they could never go to her place because of her roommate that worked in the hospital? All fiction.
I was incredibly worried for her, and I tried to do the best that I could. Anytime that I could buy dinner, I would. I paid for a hotel room one night so that at least she would have a bed. That definitely took a toll. For me, it wasn't so much, I'm not a judgmental person. I really am not. I always want to help people. That's who I am.
Michelle wasn't really getting to know this woman. Only the carefully constructed version the woman wanted her to see. Thinking back, there was another red flag: jealousy. Michelle had stayed friends with her exes, who were men up to now, and that didn't sit well with her new love interest.
So I introduced this person to one of them, and she had me block him right there on the spot. I later on that night had to text him and say, I'm so sorry. I'm going to try to give this a go for this relationship. I hope you understand. I am very lucky because he was completely understanding.
At the time, Michelle just wanted to please her. Looking back, it feels ridiculous.
I wanted to make her feel comfortable is what I did. And I completely bent over backwards. I could have very seriously sacrificed a relationship that was important to me to prove something to this person who in the end was actually not honest with me most of the time.
Michelle's story is really tough because what she went through is emotionally jarring. She was kind of catfished, and she's such a gentle and delicate soul that she just assumes the best in people. Even after everything that she's gone through, she still has a gentle, emotional demeanor about it all.
She's also starting a new path of her life, so she's very open.
Yeah, this is her first relationship as a gay woman. And so she's experiencing all of these interactions with her new girlfriend and trying to assess, is this just what it's like dating a woman? Or is this person specifically?
Right. She doesn't have the context of past experiences, right? This is her first gay relationship.
Right. There's so much that you have to take at face value when you meet somebody. You know, Michelle's got an immunocompromised roommate. Her girlfriend has a quote-unquote roommate that works in the healthcare profession, frontline worker. So that girl knew that Michelle couldn't refute the COVID argument and took advantage of it, quite frankly. That's really fucked up.
Yeah, it's all by design, sadly. She's embarrassed by her current situation.
I don't want this to come off like we're shaming the situation that the girl is in. It's just about being careful when you're dating. This is a classic debate of how much you should look into a person before their first date. There are two sides to this argument where there's the one camp that's don't look, get to know the person on their own, hear their story from them. Then there's the other group of people, and I've had this happen to me, where people will Google me, look up my entire resume, my life story, and already come to our first date knowing everything about me.
See, I think that's weird. I think in this day and age, it has to be somewhat of a balance. I think trying to find out everything about them, and I mean, Dre, you're Googleable. People could find out a good amount. I mean, I'm sure your MySpace is still out there somewhere.
Listen, there's a pop punk Avril Lavigne moment happening on Google Images. Trust me.
But I think there's a middle ground. You want to know what, at least going into it, some things you may have in common to help build a vibe and rapport on a date. But to know everything takes some of the magic out of courting and meeting someone.
Yeah, but there's also some really creepy and weird people out there. And I'm not saying this chick is creepy and weird, but what she did was not cool. It was not cool. So if we're going to go with, all right, you're going to get to know someone in person and lead with that approach, as opposed to running a full background check on someone.
Which I think is excessive.
I think that you need to be really in tune with your intuition and really question and really try to interact with your emotions when you're getting to know someone, because there were clear signs that this girl was operating out a sense of stress and anxiety and shame and was throwing it all on Michelle. So aside from her living situation, there was something unstable about where this girl was. And if Michelle was really honest with herself, that was probably enough to say, we are not in a good position right now for one another, regardless of the housing situation and regardless of the rap sheet.
Was there a point in hearing the story where you had a red flag going off, like, oh, this is going in a bad direction?
I got the sense that the girl was emotionally abusive. Michelle, she had really strong relationships with her ex.
Right.
And this girl was like, I don't want you talking to them, even though she's gay. They're not together because she's not into men. Your life's your life. Your story is your story. She can't take back that experience in the months that she had with this woman, but she walks away with a really valuable lesson. Like, you can't destroy relationships you've built in your life because one person is uncomfortable with it. That's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair. And I also feel for Michelle because she really worked hard to make this person feel secure. And this whole time she's being misled and lied to.
So she's back on the dating scene, which is awesome. And she was telling me about how she found out that this girl, the ex, has pictures of her and Michelle on her profile.
Wow.
And she knows that because she was on a date with someone that saw the ex's profile, and she was like, oh, like, I've matched with your friend, and it all came together for Michelle. That her ex's profile now has a picture of her and Michelle on it, which is so bizarre to me because I would never use any of pictures with my exes on my profile.
See, I'm less surprised.
You are?
Yeah, I think she's telling another story. Like, she's making another idea. I bet Michelle's a beautiful woman. And, like, she wants to show this person, like, oh, look who I'm with. And just paint another picture.
Weird.
Weird.
No, it's weird.
I mean, it sounds like there's still somewhat of a relationship. Like, Michelle looked out for her, right? Like, Michelle was, like, when they still talk, she buys her dinner. She got her a hotel room one night. So, like, there's some sort of relationship.
I just think Michelle's a good person. Now that we're getting back to some normalcy, we're ghosting, receiving dick pics we never wanted, making rude comments and text messages. I'm feeling like my old self.
Dre, you're getting dick pics again? Life must be good. Dating is back, baby.
Now's the time to share your story on the podcast. Reach out to datingdiariespod@gmail.com. That's datingdiariespod@gmail.com.
And if you enjoy the podcast, show us some love with a 5-star rating and give us a review. We want to hear from you guys.
And until next week, stay safe out there, guys. This podcast is hosted and executive produced by me, Andrea Gunning. Executive produced by Nancy Glass, Ben Fetterman, and Carrie Hartman. Produced by Julie Clark. Associate producers include Megan Paisley and Kristen Melchiori. Edited by Mac Daggett and Matt Delvecchio. Special thanks to Natalie Thomas. Music by Mybe Music. Some names have been changed to protect privacy.